How much money do you actually need invested before dividends can pay for your life? Most people imagine one magic number. One day you are working, the next day your portfolio pays for everything. But dividend freedom does not usually arrive like that. It arrives one bill at a time. First, it pays for something small, a subscription, a phone bill, then utilities, then groceries, then your car, then part of your rent, then maybe your salary, and finally, if you stay patient long enough, it buys back the most expensive thing you own, your mornings. So let's walk through 7 numbers, not as math on a spreadsheet, but as 7 versions of your life being slowly bought back. Level 1. The first bill. You are the first-time dividend investor with $10,000 in a brokerage account, an old car outside, and a phone that just buzzed with money you did not trade hours to earn. It is 6:14 in the morning. You did not set an alarm. You walk to the kitchen, make coffee, and sit by the window while the rest of the street is still half asleep. Then your phone lights up, a dividend payment. Using a simple 4% dividend income frame, $10,000 invested can produce about $400 a year. That is not retirement. That is not rent. That is not freedom in the way people fantasize about it. But it can pay for a few subscriptions. It can cover part of your phone bill. It can erase one small recurring expense that used to come from your paycheck. At lunch, a coworker sees the ETF on your laptop and laughs. $400 a year. That's dinner. He is right about the amount. He is wrong about the meaning. You feel foolish and awakened in equal measure. The first dividend does not change your lifestyle. It changes what you believe money can do. Level 2. The utility investor. You are the quiet accumulator with $50,000 invested 3 years of skipped upgrades behind you, and enough dividend income to make the light switch feel different. At a 4% income frame, $50,000 invested can produce about $2,000 a year. Still not enough to quit, still not enough to brag about, but enough to cover real pieces of a normal life. You sit at the kitchen table on a Sunday morning and look at your electric bill, your internet bill, your phone bill. For the first time, these numbers do not feel like little attacks on your paycheck. They feel manageable, contained. Every time you flip a light switch, open the fridge, or charge your phone, you think the same thing. A piece of this is no longer paid by my labor. A piece of this is paid by ownership. That weekend, your sister gets engaged. The family meets at a steakhouse. Your cousin talks loudly about his new leased BMW. Everyone claps. You order water and eat your steak quietly. On the drive home, your girlfriend asks, "Are you okay?" You were quiet tonight. You say, "I was just thinking." You feel ordinary and ahead in equal measure. At $50,000, dividends do not make you look rich. They make your ordinary life less dependent. Level 3. The grocery investor. You are the 6-figure investor with $100,000 invested a grocery cart full of ordinary food, and the first real temptation to make boring money exciting. At a 4% income frame, $100,000 invested can produce about $4,000 a year. That number is different. It is no longer just subscriptions. It is no longer just electricity and internet. It is food. You walk through the grocery store on a Saturday morning. Bread, eggs, chicken, coffee, rice, fruit. Nothing luxurious. Nothing that belongs in a commercial. Just the basic architecture of a life. And for the first time, you understand that your portfolio is not just growing in an app. It is feeding you. Then Marcus texts you. Marcus from college. The guy who always finds something exciting right before it becomes painful. He sends you a stock yielding 12%. It pays monthly. Bro, he says that's $12,000 a year on 100 grand. You open the chart. The yield is real. The chart is not comforting. The stock price has been falling for 2 years. The company is bleeding. The dividend looks huge because the market has lost faith. This is a yield trap. You text back, "Be careful." Marcus sends a laughing emoji. 6 months later, the dividend gets cut. The stock falls again. Marcus stops talking about it. You feel tempted and disciplined in equal measure. At this level, the goal is not to find the highest income. The goal is to build income that is still there next year. Boring is not the enemy of freedom. Boring is often the price of keeping it. Level 4. The Car Life Investor. You are the paid-off driver with $250,000 invested in a 2019 Toyota that still works, and enough dividend income to cover the car life other people finance with stress. At a 4% income frame, $250,000 invested can produce about $10,000 a year. That can cover car payments, insurance, gas, maintenance repairs, and the quiet anxiety that transportation creates for people who are always one bill away from falling behind. It is Tuesday morning. You are sitting in traffic. Your Toyota is not impressive. The Bluetooth still works. The seats are fine. The car has been paid off for years. In the lane next to you, a man in a new electric SUV is yelling into his phone. The car looks expensive. His face looks exhausted. You do not know his finances, but you know the feeling of a payment that follows you everywhere. Nobody at work knows you have $250,000 invested. They only see the old car. Maybe they think you are behind. Then you remember something your mother told you when you were 16. The richest people I know drive the cheapest cars. Back then, it sounded like something adults said to make themselves feel better. Now it sounds like strategy. You feel invisible and quietly powerful in equal measure. The real luxury was never the car. It was not needing the car to explain who you are. Level 5. The Basic Floor Investor. You are the optional employee with $500,000 invested, a boss standing in your doorway at 4:47 p.m., and enough dividend income to make survival feel less negotiable. At a 4% income frame, $500,000 invested can produce about $20,000 a year. That is not rich. It does not buy a mansion. It does not remove every problem. But it creates a floor. A basic floor is different from wealth. Wealth says, I can buy more. A floor says, I will not collapse as easily. $20,000 can cover a meaningful part of rent, utilities, groceries, transportation insurance, or a lean version of life in many places. It does not make your job irrelevant, but it changes your relationship to it. Your boss is stressed. He needs you to stay late. Years ago, you would have said yes before he finished the sentence. This time, you wait 3 seconds. Then you still say yes. But the yes is different now. It is no longer fear dressed up as teamwork. It is a choice. That night, the parking lot is almost empty. You sit in your car before driving home and think about the coworker who laughed at your first $400 dividend. He still works here, leased SUV, second mortgage, always wondering where the money went. You feel trapped and optional in equal measure. $500,000 does not make you free, but it gives your yes a price. Level 6, the Salary Replacement Investor. You are the silent millionaire with $1 million invested, the same apartment, the same car, and a salary-sized income arriving without a manager approving it. At a 4% income frame, $1 million invested can produce about $40,000 a year. That is not yacht money. It is not private jet money. It is not the version of wealth people put in thumbnails. But it is a basic American salary, and it arrives without a time card. You sit at the kitchen table on a Tuesday night and look at the number. 7 digits. The room does not change. The walls look the same. The coffee mug is the same. Your face in the dark window is the same. But something has changed. You read about qualified dividends and learn that ownership income can be treated differently from wage income, depending on your filing status, taxable income, and the type of dividend. But the deeper point is not a tax trick. The deeper point is that this income does not need a manager to approve your hours. The next morning, you sit in a meeting about quarterly goals. You nod, you take notes, you participate. Nobody knows. At lunch, you sit on a bench outside and eat a sandwich from home. You feel unchanged and untouchable in equal measure. $1 million does not always buy luxury. Sometimes it buys silence. Level 7. The Morning Investor. You are the work-optional investor with $1.5 million invested coffee at the kitchen window and enough dividend income to own the part of life most people sell first their mornings. At a 4% income frame, $1.5 million invested can produce about $60,000 a year. That still does not mean unlimited spending. It does not mean every city is affordable. It does not mean every family can quit tomorrow. But for a disciplined life, it can make work optional. You stand at the kitchen window and watch the street fill with commuters. Brake lights, backpacks, coffee cups, people already late for things they did not choose. You used to be one of them. You think back to the first $400 dividend, the coworker laughing. You think about Marcus chasing 12%. You think about your boss standing in the doorway at 4:47 p.m., asking for another evening. Then you open your laptop. No speech, no revenge, no dramatic announcement, just a professional email. You read it once. You hit send. You feel calm and irreversible in equal measure. You do not retire from work first. You retire from needing permission. At $10,000, the dividend was small enough for someone else to laugh at. At one point, $5 million, the same idea became large enough to change the shape of your life. That is how dividend freedom usually works. Not all at once, not in one dramatic leap, one bill at a time. First a subscription, then a utility bill, then groceries, then your car, then your basic floor, then your salary, then your mornings. You do not live off dividends all at once. You buy your life back one bill at a time. So if your investments could pay for one part of your life first, what would you want? Back your bills, your weekends, your peace of mind, or your mornings?